Welcome to Tyrompers No Limit Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks so much for tuning in to Tyrompers No Limit Podcast. This is episode number 92. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a treat for you, boys and girls, today. Coming live right at you from the new headquarters over here. We got a man that's a dad. He's an author. He's a speaker. He's a coach. He's the creator of the Edge of Greatness Summit, which I'm very much looking forward to. This is the man, the myth, the legend over here, Mr. Charles Schultz. Welcome to the pod, brother. How you doing today?
Good, man. Ty, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Brother, you're a man that I literally look forward to every time you put out content, man. It's like hits right in my soul, man. A lot of stuff that comes out. For anybody who might like follow me or be a part of what I've been doing over the last few years, might not know a little bit about you. Could you just kind of give them a 1 to 2 minute intro, my man?
Yeah, for sure. So I started as an athlete, and that's kind of what drove me into this world of pursuing excellence and trying to find greatness. And as I've gotten older, obviously the athletic side of things changes. The way you pursue it and the way you go about it, it's not as competitive to the extent of you're going to get a scholarship or money or things like that. It's more about internal competitiveness and how do we improve ourselves and how do we get the most out of our lives and find fulfillment. And as I went down that rabbit hole, I found that I really enjoy working with people. I really enjoy coaching young athletes and coaches and people and helping them find their best. And that's what led me to becoming, a founder of Edge of Greatness, starting a podcast, and ultimately moving to a new location to get more time doing those things and be with my family and open up some other doors.
Man, that's awesome, dude. I'll ask you one question because it's, when you ask a lot of athletes, and then I see a lot of guys too that maybe they played high school sports or college sports even, and you ask them, well, what do you miss about it? It's that camaraderie, that locker room, that kind of feel like that. And then you get older into your 30s, 40s, and let's be honest, most guys, what's the stat? You put on 2 pounds a year after you get married. You kind of don't have that thing to chase anymore unless it's internal. And so how do you see that as kind of unlocking that in guys and helping them find that thing that really makes them tick to keep competing?
Well, I think you nailed the nail on the head with that one. As we need that thing that makes us tick, that gives us that spark, that gives us that drive, that why for what we put ourselves through to get to that elite level. Because when you're driving to be great at something, especially sports, a lot of times there's an external factor. You have to figure out how to create that internal drive, even as an athlete, because once you figure out how to do that, then when it ends, you still have it. Because a lot of people, like you said, when it's over, they sit on the couch and you see these guys who are incredible athletes, and then you run into them 10 years later and you're like, bro, you played sports? There's no way. There's no way. But they were incredible athletes that just didn't have a deeper sense of understanding why they did what they did beyond, I want to be good at my sport. So what I always try to do is help people find that deeper motivating factor for why you put yourself through the things that you do. Because you don't just show up because you want to be a good athlete. There's something deeper there, right? You don't just show up day in, day out and put your body and your mind and your heart and soul into these things just to win. I mean, sure, winning's great, but there's definitely something back there deeper that makes all of that come to the forefront. And that's what I try to unlock.
I love that answer, man. Can I ask what that is for you? Because you're a man that's just getting after it every day. Brother, you look like a beast. And what sports did you play growing up too? And then kind of hit that second part of that question. What is that thing for you?
I was a college athlete. That was my baseball was my sport. I grew up playing baseball. I fell in love with it. I was also an average to above average basketball player. I'll just go with that. But I'm unfortunately short. You're not going to play in the NBA at 5'11". It just doesn't statistically line up, So I leaned into baseball, and since finishing baseball, I've always found other things that kind of were the next thing for me to chase. Nowadays it's my kids. That's the main motivating factor. Is I want them to see that even though I'm an older father, it took us a while to have kids. So I'm 40 years old and my oldest is 4. So I've got young kids that I want to be an active, present father with. And you can't do that being a lazy human being and not getting after it. I don't push myself as hard as I used to when I was in sports, but I'm also smarter about my training. So it kind of balances out. And I think that that's the big thing for as you age and as you grow, how can you get the most out of your time, not breaking yourself into little itty bitty pieces every single time and hoping that you come back, because the recovery part is harder.
Yeah, you definitely, and as a busy dad, I know you are, and I love watching your content because you're always chasing the kids around, doing the family walks, all the stuff that we love to do here too, man. I promote on the channel a lot, but I know that you have to prioritize that rest piece. I didn't for a while, to be honest, and I was like 37, 38, and I found myself almost to the edge of burnout, man. And I started realizing, if the creator of the universe took a day a week off, I need to too. I need to prioritize some sleep and foam rolling and recovery and some things like that too. So I love that you have a holistic approach with guys to help that, man. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, is that if you do anything to the extreme, eventually it's going to become too much. Even if it's in your business, in your personal life, in the dating life, if you are too much too often, you suck the joy out of it. Sometimes that break brings back more joy. I know you talk about it all the time, is that you leave your kids at home so you can have time with your wife, because it brings more joy when you see them next time. Mm-hmm. It also helps you appreciate your wife and the time that you have together. And those things are valuable, because the more we appreciate those things, the more time we have finding joy and fulfillment in what we're doing. It's so much easier to do the hard things in those moments and show up present and feel good about the fact that things aren't really always going our way. And that's the big thing that I try to really lean into, is that you're not always going to have the best results. You're not always going to have the best workout. You're not always going to have the best sales pitch. You're not always going to have the best whatever it may be. But if you show up present and find fulfillment and joy in those things, you can fight through those difficult moments and still see the benefit of that time that you put in.
I love that, man. And I agree, especially as, right, I'm a 40-year-old, about to be a 40-year-old dad too, right? And there are days, man, where I'm showing up to the gym, the kid woke up during the middle of the night, right? And you have deadlifts on the schedule, and normally you're used to hitting a certain weight, but you have to be wise in that moment and say, I want to be doing this for 40 more years, man, 50 more years, right? Like, and so you have a longer term vision through these things. And so can I ask you, Charles, did you ever have a moment where maybe you were in corporate, or what was kind of sparked this revolution in you, man, to kind of say, I was a college athlete, I maybe see a lot of other people going down this path, and I want to help?
So it was interesting. My life, I thought, was going to end up with me being a professional athlete. My senior year, I was starting to get some looks by some pro teams, and towards the middle back half of the year, I had an argument with my coach, and it led me to not having a spot on the field anymore. And it was a moment for me where I actually lost the joy of playing sports. And when it all ended, I didn't know what I was going to do next, because I was in college to be a baseball player. I didn't choose a good major. I went down the what can get me on the field type of thing. So I ended up graduating with a history degree from Youngstown State, which I wasn't going to go into law. So that was kind of a useless degree at that point, because it wasn't an education. It wasn't for law. It was just a history degree. So I felt lost for a while, until I found a trainer who brought me into this world of exercise and fitness and helping others. And it felt like being on the field again, because I was coaching people, I was working with people, and I was seeing their life change. And it's just all kind of evolved slowly from there, from working with regular everyday adults to then I became a coach for high school athletes. And then I owned my own business, and then I had my own kids, and then I sold my gym, and that's where we're at today. But it's always been about helping others. It's always been about working with people to see what you're capable of, because I think that there's this really cool thing that happens when you push yourself to a point where you don't think you can succeed or go anymore, and then you win. There's just a different look and a light that happens in those moments where you're like, you feel different now, don't you? And that for me is huge, because I've seen it on all kinds of different levels, from adults who were ex-athletes to kids who were in high school who weren't believing in themselves, and then all of a sudden they see this internal strength that's there, to my kids figuring out how to solve problems and overcome stuff, and just seeing me excited, and they get happy that I'm happy. And so that's the fun part for me. That's what I was looking for.
That's awesome. When you see those light bulbs click, man, you turn on. And I want to go back to baseball specifically because I grew up playing baseball. Baseball is my best sport, Charles. And I was like, I got foolish. And when came time to pick a sport, I picked basketball. I was all conference sophomore, junior, senior year, but I'm 5'11" and the wrong skin color as well. So I wasn't going anywhere with that, man. Small junior college is probably the best I could do, right? But in baseball, particularly, kind of what you alluded to a minute ago is at times in life, you're going to have to fail sometimes, right? And I always think baseball is an amazing game because Hall of Famers get out 7 times out of 10. But you have to have that mindset that you're going to get a hit every time, even though you kind of know 7 times out of 10, if you're great, you're going to fail. And can you kind of talk through what you kind of lean back in through that experience in life of what it takes to be a great baseball player, to have looks at pros? That means you're in the top, I mean, dude, probably 0.001% of people that play baseball, right? So to get to that level, I'm sure you had to build a certain kind of mindset. And have you seen that carry over then into your business, into fatherhood, into what you do now?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing when it comes to finding long-term success and being able to show up no matter what the outcome is remembering that the outcome isn't in our control. There's so often that we get upset about the result of something, but you did everything right. It just didn't go your way this time. I can hit a ball on the screws and the guy makes a diving catch. I didn't do anything wrong. That dude just won that moment. If I got mad about that, if I got upset every time I did something right but still didn't win, it'd be a long, really frustrating life, because there's going to be a lot of times in your life that you do really, really good work, but somebody makes a pitch that's timed different. They showed up first. Maybe it wasn't even better than yours. They were just there at the right time and you weren't. That's not your fault. That's not a result that you did something wrong to get. It's just the way the world worked in this moment, and learning how to consistently show up without a view of results, but focusing on internal processes. Did I give my best? Did I show up? Was I prepared? I think if you do that consistently over time, you find that success. You find those windows and those doors that are cracked open that are asking for you to go through, that you won't see if you're upset all the time and you're throwing shit and you're just you're just banging things around the room. You're going to miss that door that's open over there that says, hey, come look over here. I've got something really cool on the other side, but you're just too mad, so you didn't even notice it.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful, man. I think there's so many people in life. You kind of talk about being process oriented, not results oriented. And dude, I've seen this I was a professional poker player for a decade, and I was not as talented as a poker player as some of my colleagues. But the one thing I mastered pretty early and realized I had to, and dude, this cost me 3 iPhones in the process. I actually set up a punching bag in my office early on. But I worked with a coach and really realized if I'm going to have long-term success at this game, and poker is another game where you can play the hand perfect and the card just doesn't fall your way. Well, you can choose to get upset about it, or if you can maintain that even keel, know you did your best, learn from it and get better, that's all it takes, right? And I feel like once you develop that mindset, that translates, whether that's baseball, poker, heck, marriage, social media. You can't choose how many people click follow and unfollow, but you can sure as heck choose and control your process. How many times a day do I post? How much do I engage? Do I write threads, videos, all the things that I know I need to do, right? So I love kind of approaching life with that view you just talked about. What can I control? Let me double down and triple down on those things. What can I not? Let me let go of those.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly, because poker is a great example, because you can play a hand absolutely perfect all the way to the last card and have a 2% chance of that card dropping. And if that card drops, did you play the hand wrong? No, you did the job. They just hung around for some reason and got lucky in the end of it, and that's life. Like we don't have control over the outcomes. All we can do is show up each time, give our best effort, and hope that over time, if we give our best effort enough, the results will start to tip in our favor, and we'll start to get those little bleeders like in baseball. You hit that little squib shot that finds a hole. That's not a good at bat, but you got a good result.
Yeah.
So it all evens out. The hard part is most people get so frustrated because it's not immediately going their way that they don't give it time to find the little lame ducks and the bleeders and the card on the last card flopping their way. That stuff just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, man. You put yourself in a position to be lucky by staying consistent and keeping that even keel mindset. I agree with that 100%, man. I love that. Well, one thing I want to hit, man, is because you just did a cross country move, and you mentioned earlier you're a gym owner. You had a lot of success doing what you were doing, and then all of a sudden you kind of feel this new calling, right? Hey, we're going to move the family. I want to be with the family more. And now I've kind of seen a transition in a lot of your content too. And I love it, floods my soul, brother. You're out playing with the kids all the time. You're pouring into them. And I think that's such, you'll never regret that. I'm yet to talk to an older person that's like, wish I would have worked more, man. I wish I hadn't spent so much time with the kids, right? You never hear that. But can you maybe talk through what that's like as a man, provider for your family, and you have this successful thing to take this chance to move? What was going through your head? Can you walk us through kind of the process and the thinking of that and how it's been going?
Yeah, let's start at the beginning here. When my wife and I decided we wanted to have kids, we tried for 5 years to have our first kid. We ended up having to go through IVF, and it was a long, drawn out process that obviously led me to where I'm at today, being an older father. But because we worked so hard to have kids and then got lucky enough to have 2 more, I want to make sure that I'm around for them. And as a gym owner, a lot of my work happened at the end of the day when others aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
I can't train you while you're at your office sitting there doing your work and doing your job. I'm training you after. And so it was probably about a year ago now. I came home and my daughter goes, "Daddy's back." Like it was a surprise that I was home. And in that moment, it hit me that that's her most common phrase when I show up. And I didn't want that. I want it to be a consistent thing that daddy's always here. And I knew it would be tough and I knew it would be a challenge, but my whole life has been about embracing the hard stuff and trying new things that maybe don't work in most cases. And I'll figure it out. I'm a figure it out on the fly kind of guy. So I decided to sell my gym and go all in on the podcast and the writing, speaking, and all these other things without really having any income from those things yet. So it was a gamble. It's still obviously a work in progress, but I don't regret a second of it because literally across the street right now is grandma's house. My wife's brother lives 0.8 miles this way down the road. Her other brother lives about 1.5 miles the other way that way. And so we're now surrounded by family and loved ones. And I'm home when my kids get home. I'm home when my wife gets home. I can make dinner and not have to hope that something in the crock pot was made when I show up at 8:30 at night in time for my good night with my daughter and not seeing my youngest because she's been asleep for 1.5 hours. That for me is worth the struggle of maybe not having all of my bills paid every month, maybe not having all of the money that's available to me that from being a gym owner and doing all those things. And I believe I'll figure it out. And if not, I'll find a job that pays me enough to allow me to still do these things. I don't need $1 million in my bank account to have a fulfilled life. That's not what greatness is to me. And this is the step in the process that I needed.
And I admire that so much, and the amount of courage that takes, and really to go against everything society tells you, right? Like, dude, it's bigger, faster, shinier, better. Give your kids the best of everything. And dude, I will kind of thank COVID almost in a weird sense, because when COVID hit with me and my wife, we started having these realizations, like what really makes our family the happiest? Dude, it's like a walk at night together in a scavenger hunt. It's like a sidewalk chalk. It's like, dude, we don't need a lot of stuff, man. We've really become minimalists and kind of embrace this of like, dude, we just want to be around. And dude, you talk about, your daughter saying that to you. How old was she when she made that comment?
I think 1.5.
Yeah, that's see, I remember I was managing a bank at the time, and I would leave at the morning, usually about like 7:20. My daughter would wake up at 7. And one morning she said to me, "Will you be back for dinner, Daddy?" Or something like that, because it was just, I'd hit the gym and I get home at 6:30. I have an hour, and I remember crying on my way to work, man, and being like, I don't care what I have to do. I don't care that everyone says this is normal, to just see your kid an hour a day, that's not going to be my life. I don't care if I'm broke. I don't care what I have to do to create this other kind of life. And I think, something that's underlooked for probably both of us is our wives are champions too, man. Because for your wife to hop on board with that and say, Charles, you have a successful business, but I support this. I'm on board with you too. For my wife right away to say, yeah, you're making 6 figures at the bank, but go do this Twitter thing. We'll see what happens, Like, I think that's a pretty amazing partnership and something that, man, I always feel super grateful for. Can you kind of talk about that teamwork aspect that you guys have? And now you get a chance to build your family exactly how you guys want, which, brother, that's just, that's right in the feels,
Yeah. No, she's definitely my biggest champion. And she loves the fact that I'm a present father, because she sees a lot of people who are too tired to play with their kids, not home. On the weekend, they'd rather go golf and hang out with their buddies than spend time. And I don't have any of that. I don't really spend a lot of time outside of doing my workouts and going for walks. I'm here. I want to be here. I want to be around them. Now, I think I need to do more of like what you do and spend time scheduling those date nights. And that's a big part of why we moved close to family, is that we can now do that. We have that help. Living in Pickerington where I was, we didn't have a whole lot of options when it came to babysitting and getting other things done and going that route. So that was a big, exciting part of the move for us is, we can try new things. We can start to try to build a different style of relationship. That's not just, I work all the time, here's my money. I work all the time, here's my money. I work all the time, here's my money. And we can actually get back to building a more cohesive unit when it comes to parenting. We can build a stronger relationship when it comes to how we interact and love each other. And hopefully over time, it reflects in our kids and they get to see what a happy, loving family looks like. And that will help them in the long run as well.
Yeah, it has to, man. I'll be honest. Like, I talk about my dad a lot on the timeline, but there's not a day that goes by I don't, think about my dad. And he was on a corporate track when I was like maybe 2 or 3. He got promoted to run this bigger store and saw that it was 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and it was double the money. And he said, I ain't doing that, right? And one thing about my childhood growing up, man, is we didn't have I never wore the newest Nikes or Jordans or any of that stuff, man. We didn't take big, expensive vacations, but my dad was always home, dude. He coached me in baseball, basketball, soccer, football, every sport. We ran together. And I also witnessed my dad running hill sprints when he was 47, like just a beast, like taking care of himself physically. And what that has done for my life was 100,000 million X more than him just never being around and giving us more money, So I think what you're doing is exactly in line with, in my opinion, the best way to change the world is being there for your kids and your family.
No, I'm on board with that. I think that we need more parenting and less of our kids being raised by other people. Too often we rely on the babysitter, the teachers, the school systems, and all of these different things, but you're the reason they're here. You should be the reason that they understand the world and how to live in it, not because somebody else said it was in a book or whatever it may be. And I don't care what beliefs you have, what philosophies you want to teach. That's your responsibility to teach them that. It's not the responsibility of other people to teach your kids how to grow up. That's you. And I don't care what side of the fence you're on or what political aisle you try to walk down. You're the parent. Be the parent. Whatever that looks like, be there.
I agree, man. Presence is the best gift you can give them, man. Always. I love that. Well, man, I want to pivot and I want to say before I do that, brother, I wish I could just bet on you, man. Like if you were a stock, I would definitely buy you because I really believe that people that just have a winning mindset have a winning mindset. And it doesn't matter if you hit a wall, you will find a way to go over, around, through, up, knock the thing down if you have to, whatever you'll have to do. I'm certain you will get to that spot, and whatever vision you have in your mind of this is what I want my business and my family, everything to look like, that's coming to fruition and you're getting closer every single day, man. I grinded that out for about 6.5 years. And then in the last 2.5 or so, I've been getting to live that, man, where like every day is taking my kids to school, playing at the parks with my kids, working for a few hours on things I love, taking my wife's on the date, like exactly the life that me and my wife wanted to create. Took work, took sacrifice, took some struggle, And I know you're in that season now, but there's not a doubt in my mind you will get there. You will crush that, man. So
Appreciate
as
that.
we move on to that, let's talk about your coaching business a little bit. Let's talk about the clients that might hire you. Let's talk about the Edge of Greatness Summit. Talk about a lot of these business things you're doing, man.
Yeah. So when it comes to the coaching side of things, my biggest thing is I just want to help people understand that they have more in the tank. There's greatness within every single person in this world. We weren't put here to be average. The hard part is we get pushed into these catalogs and these categories and these different streams of living, and we don't see the bigger river that's running next to us that we could be in. You know, we find these different things that just kind of pigeonhole us, and we lose sight of the creativity that we had as children. We lose sight of the joy that we had playing. And my hope is that if I can get enough people to understand that we have greatness within them, we start to see a shift in the world, because there's nothing better than seeing somebody who's driven by what they're meant to be doing and what that means for the people who see that around them and the changes that happen, because they become great and others become great with them. It lifts everybody. And that's the ultimate that's the ultimate goal for me, is to find people who want more out of their life, but they're just not sure what's the next step, or they're dealing with some adversity and they don't know how to handle and face it. Because a lot of times we stop chasing great things because it's hard, but the hard is what makes it so special when we get there. Nobody cares if you win the lottery and you win $1 million. It's like, oh, cool, great. And then it's gone. You lose it. But if you worked really, really hard for that $1 million, you're going to spend it differently. You're going to look at it differently. And that's the thing that we need to get back to, is realizing that everything we do is a product of the hard work we put in, and then we become something special on the back end. We don't become special and then work hard. It doesn't work that way. So we have to start to find that and flip that script.
I love that. So many things you touched on, man. I feel like there's nothing more powerful than a human that knows why God created him and is working out that passion every day and living that. It doesn't feel like you work then, right? People ask me how many hours a day you work. I'm like, zero. Like, I do what I love every day and feel like I'm called to do. And I tell people all the time, this might be extreme, but man, I don't think you should watch one more TV show. I don't think you should. I like sports a lot. I don't think you should go watch other men try and be great until you know that calling, until you know why you're here on this earth and how you can light yourself on fire every day. And for some people, that is a corporate job, man. I'm convinced of that. They were created to go in corporate, be a light, crush it in sales, do whatever they're doing. For other people, it's being more of a dad and locked in at home. Other people, it's unique to you. But man, when you have a person like yourself who can talk you through it and have a high level view and help you get there, it makes all the. I couldn't have done it without my coach, Zach Hommel, 4 or 5 years ago. I've been privileged to help other people kind of discover that purpose and why they're here. And I love the fact that you're doing that too, man. And I think it's an ultimate cheat code to work with a guy like you who understands it, who's been through some hard things too, and has come out the other side and can help people get to that spot as well, man. So I couldn't recommend you enough, brother. That's my pitch for anybody out there listening to this. DM my man, Charles.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think that's something you said was really interesting, is that whether you're in corporate, whether you want to be a great parent, whether you want to be great at sports or anything in general, our greatness comes down to how we define things. The definitions we choose to use in our life matters. If you don't know what greatness looks like in your life, how will you ever achieve it? If you don't know what success looks like, how will you ever get it? And too often we see people chasing these definitions that were given to us by somebody else that isn't their definition. And that's why they don't succeed. It's not because they're not capable of success. It's that they're chasing a dream or a goal that isn't theirs. It's not their definition of greatness. You can't be somebody else's greatness. You have to be your own. And it comes with knowing what greatness means to you. Greatness to me is being able to provide enough for my family to still be present every single day. And then to constantly chase just being a little bit better. That's what greatness is. And if I do that every day, it's really simple. Like that's not a overly exotic definition of greatness, but to do it every day is hard.
Yeah.
And that is where you win. Can you show up every day and do the things that are simple? Because it's simple, not easy.
Man, that's so true. And dude, I think you allude to something that I talk about a lot that's really hit me a while ago, is like, by the time we're 18, man, we've seen 100,000 commercials that have programmed us what success is. Our parents have told, be a doctor, be a lawyer, like these success. your school counselor's telling you these, and like, I cannot tell you the amount of men I've coached in their 30s and 40s now that are like, dude, I have more money than I know what to do with, and I'm the least happy guy on the planet. I've chased this other thing for so long, I don't even know what makes me happy anymore. And I'm like, man, that's where you've got to unlearn a lot of these things and get to the core of what you're talking about. Like, to me, put $100 million in my bank today or take out every penny we have, I'm still going to do the same stuff mostly every day. And that's success to me, man. Again, I'm going to be around my kids a lot, my family a lot. People are like, oh, you take your wife on dates a lot. Isn't that expensive? Bro, we go on walks and bike rides, like, it's cheap stuff, right? So it's like, to me, that's the definition of success. And everybody's got to find that thing that ticks in them. And I love how you help people define that, man. That's a very powerful thing that everybody needs help with, I believe.
No, I agree. Everyone needs a little guidance when it comes to unlocking that internal what and why. Yeah. The what greatness and success looks like and the why we are chasing it.
Yeah. So what is what's your workouts look like now, man? Here as a 40-year-old dad, what are you doing most days, man? Getting up before the family, I assume, getting it in, or what's it look like?
So I do a 4-day split in the weight room, and then I do 2 walks. My Monday, Tuesday, I do lifts. I actually put in a garage gym, so that way I don't have to go anywhere. I can actually just walk out and go into the garage and get my work in. I usually wake up between 5 and 5:15, and then that way I can be done by 6:30 and make breakfast for my wife and get the kids up and get them ready to go to school. But I like a lot of the traditional weightlifting stuff, and I still try to train myself somewhat like an athlete. So I do a posterior strength day, and then I do a anterior strength day, and then I'll do a walk on Wednesday to kind of help me recover and just kind of relax. So tomorrow morning I'll get up and go for a nice walk, and then Thursday's my power posterior day, and then Friday's my heavy squat with a little more anterior work. So I kind of balance it out that way. And then Saturday, Sunday is kind of just casual walk and just active play with the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, have an active lifestyle with the kids. I tracked my steps yesterday. I had 25,500, and most of that, to be honest, just chasing. I took my son to the park all morning. That was 9,700 steps, and then took him back again in the evening, which is probably 5, 6, 7,000 steps. So it's like, when you have an active lifestyle with the family, that definitely helps a lot, man.
For sure.
And it's good to model that to them too. Well, can you talk a little bit about the Edge of Greatness Summit, what that is? And then before we do, guys, I just want to say, check out the links below at Charles _ at Coach _ Schultz. Give him a follow on Twitter. He's currently at 999 followers, guys. Let's get him over 1,000. Also, I'm going to link everything he does. Amazing stuff all over social media on all different platforms. We'll link his link tree below. Give him a follow, give him some love. And now go ahead, my man. I just like to get
the Edge of Greatness Summit is my baby. I started it for the first time last year. It was a bringing together of all the people that I've had conversations with on my podcast and asking them to share insights into what's unlocked greatness in their life. And this year I've expanded it. So last year was 16 speakers. This year I have 26 lined up, and I've kind of modified it a little bit where now the speakers are speaking to a particular pillar of greatness that I believe in. I believe there are 7 pillars of greatness that allow us to find the excellence in our life. And it's work. You can't get there without hard work. People, you can't get there without good people. Mindset, purpose, courage, discipline, and resilience. If you can find a way to tap into those things and get them to work together, nothing's out of your reach. And so they're going to speak on different topics and how those words have affected their life and created opportunities for them to be great. And it'll be in October, the first weekend of October. And there's, I think you said you will have a link that you can go sign up. It's free. And that's the best part. Like it's a free event. I haven't really tried to figure out how to monetize it yet, because I think it's something that people need and should have. And there's certain things in this world that it's not about the money, it's about giving. And I think that that's always going to be the case for me is what can I give? And in return, over time, find value to get back. And that's, it may take longer for me to get to where I need to be, but I feel like I'm doing it the right way.
Dude, 100%. I'll tell you the gift of this podcast, to be honest, Charles, like you're the 92nd person I've had on, and I've had some awesome people like yourself on. And what I've noticed is a common theme and a pattern is all the people that are around 2 decades, 3 decades that are making good money, they have the same heart as you. Yeah, like money's like a secondary thing, man. Like all the people that are like, I just want to come in and get my money, dude, they ain't around in 2 years. You have to have a deeper reason behind it. And I love that, man. I will say, put a tip jar at the end of it, man. if you're letting everybody come in for free and hear 16 speakers, 26 speakers, have a great time. Just say, hey, if you liked what you got, you can throw some money in this thing, right?
No, yeah, I like that tip jar.
Yeah, just everybody's got a tip jar now, man. I go to Subway, got a tip jar. Everybody's got a tip jar, right? So might as well throw it out for the conference too, man.
Right.
I appreciate you coming out, man. Dude, if you're ever in Vegas, man, please hit me up. I'd love to grab a workout with you, bring the family. We'll take them to the park, man. You're a guy that I really admire. I look up to a lot. And just even this chance to get to know you more makes me just even deeper in that belief, man. So if there's any way I can ever help, man, you let me know, brother. You're the man.
I appreciate it. In return to you as well, man. I love the content. I love what you do. And I believe that when you surround yourself with the right people, anything's possible. And I think I'm working on building that nice tribe. And I'm happy to say that you're one of those people. So that's awesome.
Honored, brother. I can't wait to see what you're going to post every day, man. I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Tyrompers No Limit Podcast, episode number 92. How are we at 92 already? With the man, the myth, the legend, Charles Schultz. Charles, last word to the people. What do you want to tell them, my man?
Oh, man, I'll leave you with this is no matter what happens, whenever you fall, always get up. Greatness is just on the other side of your most difficult moments, and there's nothing that can stop you except for you.
Man, amen. Nothing can be denied to the man that will not be denied. Get back up, baby. That's a word for somebody out here today. Hope you guys are fired up. Hope you guys have the greatest day of your life. Go be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Let's change the world. Let's light ourselves on fire. Give my man Charles some love. Again, I'm going to link everything he does below. Give this guy a follow on socials. Reach out to him. If you guys liked what he had to say, how could you not? Reach out to him, man. Maybe you feel like you need to discover that purpose, that passion. This is a man that can help you. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Have the greatest day of your lives. Let's go get it.